Hello everyone. So I had recorded this video, and when I came to editing, that was when I realized the audio was completely messed up. So now I'm actually doing it over the video. So I'm just going to be explaining what I'm doing. So I dragged in this image, the image of the person that wants me. I believe his name is Kelvin. He talked to me on YouTube and said he wants me to create a character of him and do a tutorial so that he can learn from that and create his own characters. So I decided to actually do it. It took a while actually, and I apologize for that, but I've been extremely busy for the last 2 weeks. I've been doing several things. I've been doing my own job, my freelancing job, and then YouTube and some other few things on the side. So it took me a while to get the time to actually create this. I had this in mind the whole time, but I was like, it's just that I cannot ignore certain things. So thank you for being patient with me, and I hope you enjoy the video, and I hope you actually learn a lot from it. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually sketching the character body, because that is how I like to start. I like to start with the body so that I know how much emphasis I have to create in certain areas, like how to balance his body out and stuff like that, so it's easier to draw at the end of the day. What I do is I select everything and then I group it. I like using group a lot because it will really save you so much time in the future instead of using layers. I know some people will just be like, okay, let me just put a layer and then drag the layer down, drag it into this layer and make a layer in a layer in a layer in a layer. That is, I do not advise anybody to do that. I not just for Adobe character Puppet, not for just for creating Adobe Puppet. I think for when you're using AI in general, do not use layers. Try to avoid layers as much as possible. Maybe use layers only once. That is for creating the main layer, and inside that make it a group so that it's easier to select even when it's invisible. So now I'm going in and actually redrawing, like making it making the lines cleaner and stuff like that. So what I do is I select the whole thing, group it, and then I change the color. The reason I'm changing the color is because using a black and then coming in and drawing another black line over it, it makes it very difficult to actually see. So it's better to actually change the color of the entire thing and just work from that. Okay, so in between, when nothing very drastic is changing on the screen, I'll be giving some tips and some few pointers so that so maybe some things I actually missed while making this puppet, or things I actually got while making this puppet. So okay, I talked about groups, and one thing you should, okay, now I'm creating a different layer. I'm creating a different layer so that I can draw his face. And how I do the face is normally I just go in and just draw whatever I can see as much as possible, like the closer to the character, and then from there I try to break down the character a bit. Like if I want the character to be more cartoony, the reason for doing this is so that, okay, you make the character more realistic in, like, draw the character more realistic than as it is, as much as possible, and then from there you'll be able to know what you want to exaggerate, what you want to litote, like what you want to make a little bit less obvious, and that's how you get funny characters, like caricature kind of characters. That's how, at least that's how I do it. I know there are people that are very good at that, but I'm not so good at those. I am more good at actually drawing characters straightforward, like yeah, like how they look, like portrait kind of characters. So I like to break it down. I'm actually learning caricature, but before that, this is how I do it. I draw the character and then I pick whatever part I want to exaggerate. But I do know that for this character, initially I wanted to exaggerate some parts, but I ended up I did not go with that. At the end of the day, I decided to go with a more realistic character. That's for his face, and then the body a bit cartoony, which actually it's a unique kind of style of character. But that is just how I create caricature characters. That's just the pointer here. So what you need to do is to sketch out his face and make it as big as possible. Just this is actually not really the sketch out, but like the drawing face, but I'm still going to redraw it, so there is no point making it small. Make it big so that you'll be able to know exactly what to make it however you want. There are some people that are actually good with small drawings, so yeah, just do whatever you can do. Just try to get the character as much as possible, and then you could actually from there just go straight into like rigging, making the character walk and stuff like that. Make the dreadlocks, make all those kind of few things on the character. So now after making this character, I made it in this color because I do not want it to be clashing with black, and I'm making it separate like this. I'm making it different colors so I'll be able to see clearer, so that you know exactly what I made here versus here and versus here, like that. But eventually I end up, even when I make it in a different color, I end up changing that color to black, because black is a good outline. In some cases I do use blue, dark blue, which is it's nice actually, but yeah. So I now scale this one I just drew, not the main drawing. I'm going to scale it to like make it to scale of the like the head of the character. So I select the entire thing and then scale it down to the size I want, the size that's appropriate for the body of this particular character, at least for this body that I created. So it doesn't matter where you place your character. You could place your character out of this box, within this box. For it, you could make it spill out of the box. It does not matter. Adobe Character Animator is still going to recognize just the vector, is going to center it. Just the vector, is not looking at the whole canvas. It's just picking the vector and centering it. So it doesn't matter that it matters little that my character is actually skewed towards the left. It doesn't matter. I don't know if that matters in Photoshop. I am not too certain of that, because I've used Photoshop in the past, but when I started using Adobe Illustrator, like I just knew wow, this is the software for me. It's vector, so I can upscale my character to whatever quality I want. Let's say I want to zoom into the character's face. In Photoshop, whenever you draw the bitmap, if you want to, you have to draw it in high quality, and that high quality comes with a problem that you might face later on. Like it might slow down your computer, it might slow down the frame rate of the character. Like when you are during animation, it might slow it down because it's very, very large. But vector files are just pieces of information. So you see right now I'm drawing over the body. I'm trying to recreate the body, and I'm using blue just so that you can see very well, but I'm actually going to change the color back to black. So I was talking about vector file. So vector file is just information, so the computer can easily process it, unlike processing images. So it's faster, it's way faster to even draw on Adobe Illustrator, because it's just information that the computer is getting. It's just numbers and some few positioning and whatever. If you open a vector file in like maybe one of those editing softwares, those programming softwares, you will see that it's just information of this particular part should move to on the x-axis at so amount, px, blah blah blah, just those kind of things. So it's just information for the computer to process. But image is actually, it's still information for the computer to process, but bitmap image is like an already made information that it's already compressed. I don't know how to put it, but the point is using bitmap, that's Photoshop, for this kind of character will slow down your computer exponentially. So it's better to use this, and you can upscale your character. So after drawing the bitmap, you have to stick with whatever quality. But right now, if I want to zoom into this character's face and maybe see some details, maybe his eyeballs or stuff like that, what I can do is I could just come into my Adobe Illustrator here, scale out the character as much as possible, then update the character in Adobe CH, that's Adobe Character Animator. And then once I update that, you notice that the character will be, the quality of the character will improve. So you'll be able to go in and whatever like that, even though CH actually processes your AI file as bitmap, but it will process it based on the amount of scale you have on Adobe Illustrator. So what I'm doing is I'm separating layers that I might be changing in the future. So let's say I want him to wear short knicker or whatever, so I make the upper body and the lower, like the upper leg and the lower leg, and then the shoes I make all of them separate, because those are stuff that I could change at any point. Let's say I want his the legs, the lower leg, I want that part of the leg to be a bit maybe not folded, but to be like pencil kind of trouser. I could just come in and just change just that part. And this is also good for rigging, because now the computer understands that this is a separate layer, so it knows how to bend it or how to deform it. Yes, it will be able to understand how to deform it. And then the shoes is so that I can actually change the shoe at any point in time, change it to whatever shoe I want. In my own case, sometimes when I'm creating characters, I do not even create the shoes at all, because I have like so many characters with so many shoes. So I just come in, pick one of the shoes and drag it in. But since this is a tutorial, like from beginning to the end, how I create characters from beginning to the end, a comprehensive tutorial that I'm making, now I have to create a shoe for this particular character. But there are certain things that after you create certain amount of characters, you keep creating plenty of characters, you now notice that some things that can be replaced, especially when you make characters like mine, that everything is not baked in, everything is a separate layer. So try as much as possible to separate the layers when it's necessary for stuff that you might want to change in the future, so it's easier for you. So I made the crotch a separate layer too, because that it's supposed to be separate actually. So do not worry about that. You don't have you should not add that to the legs, because that part is not a moving part and it doesn't move with the leg, so it should be a separate part. So any part that does not move that moves independent of the other should be a separate part. Okay, so I'm still trying to I'm actually trying to upload the video right now, and okay, let me just continue what I was doing. So now I finished sketching, and I'm sketching them in blue, and I don't know exactly why I did that, because for you to be able to see it well. Okay, yes, I made everything invisible for it to be clearer. So now I'm using a black line directly on the head, because I'm not going to be redrawing that. So you can make it whatever color, but you have to change it to black eventually, or whatever color you want to be the outline. So let's define. Okay, so I'm just referencing the character, trying to see what I got wrong, and well, everything looks alright. Basically everything looks fine. So now I'm just going to draw the eyes. Yep, draw the eyes and draw the other eye. And what I do with the eyes, I know you'll see that in a few minutes. What I do with the character eyes is I make both in the same layer, like both eyes, whatever eyes is in the same position. You see, I was trying to scale and see what I can exaggerate, but I decided against that eventually. I could have actually in retrospect, looking at this character, there are certain things that I could actually have scaled out and maybe reduced to make it a bit so I could actually make his nose bigger and rounder, and because considering he's a black guy, so we as black guys, we normally, black people in general, we have like a bolder kind of nose. So you could I could exaggerate that point. I could exaggerate his eyes a bit because he has a bulgy eyes, and then maybe the cheek could make it a bit more bold, like make the cheek bolder and stuff. And I should be you doing some of these fixes and stuff, so you should be able to get a kind of funny looking character, a caricature kind of character. Just going in and drawing the beards, just drawing the beards. Boom. And what I do is I draw the entire facial feature, not the facial features, the entire face itself, without the eyes, without the brow, without the nose, just the head. And in this case I decided to draw the head from the beanie separate. I don't know if they call beanie this. Yes, head warmer or whatever beanie. Yeah, so I decided to draw the head just in case you want the beanie, like you want him to be able to like you want, maybe you could create a trigger for this so that the character can, you can make the character with a beanie and without a beanie. And this was when I was actually making a mistake, because as I drawing the character in my head, I was actually thinking of an Indian character, but this is a black guy. And we're always proud of our lines, our hairlines, so that's exactly what I actually decided to do, because I'm not actually seeing the head because of the beanie that is above the head. So okay, so now I'm going to create the, okay, I made the dread that is pulling out of his hair and through the beanie. So I'm just going to make that, and I'm not arranging the layers yet. I will do that very very soon. So now I believe I'm drawing the beanie, the head warmer. Okay, you could make this into, like, you could, there's something I'm actually working on. Hopefully it will be a software, I don't know, or maybe a template that I'll have on my site eventually. And hopefully if it's a software, you just come in, you can create a character with just maybe just a few clicks. You select what kind of head shape you want, what kind of body, what kind of hands you want, because now I've created so many hands, so you could select what kind of hands you want, and then voila, it will automatically create a full character for you. And you could just go in, you could tweak the eyes a little, you could tweak certain things on the site, and you'll have an AI file and hopefully a CH file, a .puppet file rather. So hopefully it will be out soon. I don't know, I'm still working on it, so I'm in the programming phase, so I can already tell you, I cannot give a timeline, but I'm working on it. I just hope I'll be able to finish something, like I will be able to finish it eventually. So now I'm tracing the lines of the eyes. So now I have, this is the eye, the default eye position of this character. So now I'm just going to be adding to it. So now I want to create a wider eye so that I can make him open his eyes wide. So I'm just going to go through, but maybe this time increase it a little, just make it a bit wider than it was, than the default eyes, and then drag it below. So now you could join both by grouping it and then drag it below. And then now let's go back to the default. So now I'm going to be making the eyes, make it smaller and smaller up until the eyes is closed. This is a concept that eventually, okay, I'm using different colors so that you'll be able to see what I'm doing, but it should be black, so just have that in mind. It should be black, but this is so that it's more visible to see. This is a concept that I developed in fact there are some of my characters that I like to make both the eyes and the brow, that's the eyes and the eyebrow, to stay in certain positions, like I'll be able to make the angry eye and angry brow, so that when you just click one button, everything goes into place immediately without you tweaking it. But this is a more manual approach to it. So now if you want to make an angry eye, you have to make like a lower eye. This particular eye that I just drew, yes. So you could join that with the eyebrow angry, and you have an angry eye. So so I'm still using different colors just so that you can see, but everything will be selected and painted black. So it's supposed to be black. Just ignore whatever you think I'm doing. So now we have the eyes closed. You see, it went from default, and you can even see the default from the outline I drew initially for the outline of the character, and his eyes closed. So now with this one, you could actually create a cycle trigger and make it a blink, so that when you click it, it doesn't just go from wide to close, and it doesn't look very good. So you could create just a two-layer trigger, a two-layer cycle trigger, and make it blink. And then so when you click on blink, it goes through one before it goes to the close. You will understand it eventually, because I actually did it for this character too. So now we have everything in place. So we're done with the eyes, and now we drew I drew the iris, the pupil, whatever you want to call it. I name it iris in my own case. So let's draw that and draw a circle inside, because it's not just brown all through. There's a darker brown inside, or if your eyes is blue, there's a darker blue inside, or whatever it is. So whatever color it is, so you don't just use one circle and just paint that one color. It will not look very, very good. So make that two circles, one wider, one smaller. Now I'm drawing the nose. Let's make it a bit nice. Then I'm going to group all those. If you notice, I'm actually grouping them. Everything that is separate, a separate part, every separate part, the iris, the eyes, the nose, the mouth, whatever it is, I'm actually grouping them separately. Yes, so it's easier to read. It's not just easier to read, that's how it's supposed to be. So just have that in mind. So I'm grouping them because I'm going to be naming them whatever they are. So nose, I'm going to name nose, group nose. So now we have our character with basically almost like 50% of whatever we need so far. Actually less than 50%, but whatever it is. So now we select the crouch, and then I'm trying to paint them black, like I said, because they're supposed to all be black. So one thing I will eventually do, maybe I should be going ahead of myself a bit too and just be talking. One thing I will eventually, no, let me just wait. Okay, I think I do want to, I might be rounding up very soon, at least for this part, because I think it's better I break this tutorial into probably like 3 bits, like 20 something minutes each, just so that it's easier to digest. So now we're going into the painting part, and after the painting part, I'll hold back a little. Like I would be recording it at once, everything at once, but I would upload them in series. So let's just paint. So you pick the puppet, the paint bucket 2. You make sure you select, you pick the paint bucket 2 first, then you select whatever group that is closed. Make sure that group is closed. Make sure the lines are closed, because paint bucket 2 would not work if the lines are not closed. So you have to close it. It will not understand what it's supposed to paint in, because there's an opening. So wherever the opening is, wherever the leak is, you have to go there and close it. And there's a way I close it. You could just draw with the same color you're painting there, that's fine, but I like to use the pen tool. So I use the pen tool. I make the outline invisible, not invisible, make no color, like make it zero, no color for the outline and for the fill. Then you now draw the line, so it will be an invisible, like an alpha line, like nothing in between, no color and whatever, like that. So that's how I block those places. For me, that works better. I don't know, for you, you could actually select the color you're about to paint with and just drag it. That was what I was doing before, so you could do that. So now I just picked the color of the beanie from the character there, just so that it looks like the character is, well, so that you could paint whatever color you want, but I'm just trying to get this character to look like the original. So the head is poking out a little. That is why I'm actually using the puppet tool to manipulate the beanie to cover the head a bit. Alternatively, you could just go in and do the head and make the head align a bit, but anyone you choose, whichever one you choose is still fine. So I'm going to go in and color the rest, but before I do that, there are some of the groups that are not closed. They have an opening, so I just use the pen to make it invisible, make both lines alpha. And for the crotch, I'll drag again and close. And now there's a pen, there's a part there, so I drag it into the group of the crotch. Boom. So now I can paint that. So I think I'm just going to replicate the same. Oh no, I'm just going to directly paint the crotch, just give it a darker blue color. I'm not seeing his trousers, so I'm just going to guess whatever or put in whatever color I want. I'm just going to paint that, and then I'll do the same for the leg, the upper leg and the lower leg. Use the pen tool, you close the opening. So I'm just making everything invisible so that I can see clearer. Use the pen tool again, you make the lines alpha, that's the outline, and the fill alpha. Then you drag it close, you drag and make it a bit curvy, because flat does not really it might not work very well, depending. I don't know, you can use the straight line if you want. So drag it to the group and that's it. And then the body too has an opening, so close that, drag it to the torso, and then drag it to the torso. Boom, drag it, boom, and I think we have everything we need so far. So it's just painting now. So I'm just going to paint the trouser, and if you notice, the crotch is sitting above the body, which is not what we want. So I'm going to arrange that in the future, but for now let's just drag. Okay, yeah, I'm actually doing it right now. So just drag the crotch, and if you notice, I've not actually made the second leg, and that is actually easy to explain. The legs, this is a character that is facing a two-third position. It's not facing straight, it's not facing left completely, so it's in between left and frontal. So what I do is I duplicate the first leg and move it to the second leg, and then just adjust a few things, because it's still the same thing, it's still the same legs. So I'm just painting the boots dark brown, because I like dark brown. And whenever you want to paint black, whenever you have the urge to paint black, resist that urge, especially when your outline is black. Do not use black color. Even if you want to use black, there are other ways you can do that. You could drag it a little bit, just make it a little bit less dark, just towards the ash color. And you know, the funniest thing is, people watching your animation would actually think that is black color. It's, I don't know if it's an illusion or something. What is it called? Yes, I don't know, but whenever you look at ash color that is a bit dark towards the dark point, in your mind you just assume it's black. So, and the outline is still black, but you can see the difference, but the difference for some reason in your brain will not be so clear, so you just assume it's black. So actually try to use either maybe a darker ash color, or just go with darker brown. People will actually think it's black. In fact, our iris, like my iris is actually, my pupil is actually black. It's black, but I said it's black, it's brown, but everybody in your mind, whenever you look at it, you just assume it's black. So go with that. So I'm painting the eyes, painting the white portion of the eyes and ignoring the iris. And now I'm doing the iris, and I'm making it dark brown, not really so dark, but making it dark brown. At least the first part, I'll make the first part dark brown and paint it. And then now I'm going to make a darker brown color, make it darker a bit, and paint the inner eyes. And there's a different there's a detail I actually added that you could do without, and that is what I'm going to add right now. You could just select the pupil. Okay, I've not started that on the screen, but I'm about to. So I'm just checking the character to make sure everything looks good. Just checking everything looks alright. I'm about to start arranging it, and that is where you need to pay attention. So I'm going to cut this clip after I work on the iris, just so that the next chapter you have something to look forward to. So I'm just going to explain what we are going to be doing in the next chapter. Most of what we're going to be doing in the next chapter is arranging them in layers, and I believe that is what is about to start. So